Okay, so we're going to welcome the next speaker by doing this. Can you all do that, please? Yeah? Okay, so we're going to welcome Hardeep. Yeah? Hardeep Singh is an artist, multimedia specialist, and deaf empowerment trainer. He completed his higher secondary from National Institute of Open Schooling, Noida, UP. He was born to deaf parents. He has completed various skill trainings for deaf adults from reputed training centers in Delhi, India. He has been part of Centrum GRO Initiative, a training center for deaf adults, for 2 years. He worked as a volunteer with the initiative for 1 year. Post his volunteering tenure, he worked as deaf empowerment trainer. He used his multimedia skills to make creative videos in Indian Sign Language for Centrum GRO's curriculum and manage their social media handles. Hardeep is presently working as an executive project associate with Access Mantra, Axio Mango Private Limited. His responsibilities include creating ISL content, taking training deaf empowerment training workshops, creating art pieces for the company, and social media management. So please, let's put our hands separately to welcome Hardeep.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. And so yes, there are various paths you could keep on. Great, so all the different artworks, these are mine, and hopefully you liked it, and then is my presentation about my life. So again, hello everyone. I want to tell you I'm really happy and really glad that I'm here. I'm Hardeep Singh, that's my sign name. And I'm really happy. I want to thank Red Door for giving me the opportunity to present. Thank you so much. And this is my first presentation, guys. This is my first solo presentation, so I'm really nervous a little bit, And the fact that I've had presentations with other people, but there's no one around me. But anyways, hopefully it will be interesting and we have a good presentation. Now this picture in front of you, my parents, they're deaf, I'm deaf. I'm from a deaf family, and within my extended family, we have about 10 deaf people. Now this is a picture of when I was really small, my parents and my family, they were doubtful. They didn't know I was a cause of worry. They didn't know if I was hearing or deaf. My parents, often, what they'll do? They'll take a spoon with a bowl, or they can take a glass just to check if I would reply to these sounds or not. And if I would cry, if I would make sounds, they were happy, oh, my child is listening. But about a year, something happened. I think it was a medical issue. And the doctors informed my parents that I have hearing loss. My parents were shocked, and they were sad at the same time that without hearing, how would my child survive? Best would have been if he was born hearing. So now my parents and my family decided to mainstream me with hearing children. All hearing, and I was the only deaf child in my class. Learning was difficult in that entirely hearing environment. The teacher was hearing. At the same time, the teachers in the evening, they would give speech therapy lessons to me. I was patient, I would learn, and up to class 5, when my parents finally saw that my literacy skills, I wasn't able to spell simple words like fan, box, and my parents was, what is happening? And my parents really saved a lot of money to pay to this mainstream school in hope that my child would really develop. But since I didn't, my parents actually decided to put me in a deaf school. Now, in a deaf school, when I entered, first time in my life, I was so scared, seeing so many deaf people using sign language all around, I was scared. And I was like, no, this is not my environment. I won't be able to survive here. You know why? Because at home, my parents raised me orally, They didn't allow me to use sign language, so this was really fearful for me. And you all would think that my parents are deaf, the child is deaf, perfect, But no, we were not allowed to use sign language. You will see it in the next slide. Yes. Double oppressive environment. I will explain this to you. My parents, they themselves lived, first of all, they were not aware. They lived in a very inaccessible environment. They weren't aware that deafness, living with deafness is not a stigma, not a bad thing. They no support, mostly negative environment where they debased and devalued their identity. The environment where they lived in was very inaccessible. They survived through a lot of discrimination. There was no news. So you see so much technology there where you see translators and interpreters in the television. But during my parents' time, there was no awareness. They suffered and they really survived through a lot of discrimination, and that influenced me and directly came to me. When they told me to speak at home. Whenever I signed, they would shit me. They would not let me do that. And all my life, I had never seen a deaf environment like this, a fully deaf environment. And I was in this school, but at the same time at home, when I would go back, they would encourage me to speak. So I had, my identity, I was kind of a crisis that should I keep on speaking, or is this my language? Where do I stand? And my identity as a deaf person, when I look at myself, was I deaf? What was my identity? So next slide. And these two words in front of you, my language and identity, these two words are really connected to my life and they saved my life. Why? First, my language, where did I find my language? I found it in school. I'm a native sign language user, I'm deaf. I tried so much to learn spoken language, but I couldn't. And sign language was my natural way of expressing. And that was great, I really developed, I picked on that language, I finished 10th. I started appearing, I applied to different type of training institutions. There's one called Noida Deaf Society where I went and I learned various kind of skills related to basic computers, IT skills, general knowledge, basic English, lot of learning. And the teachers would all sign. I would meet more deaf people and I was signing. I was happy. But I knew internally that there was still this identity crisis that, hearing people, non-disabled people were doing everything. I, as a deaf person, would not be able to complete a new word. And the fact this training, there was a second training, a new training, which was called Centum GRO. For the first time, they came up with a course called Deaf Empowerment, Deaf History, Identity of a Deaf Person, Deaf Culture, and this was really in-depth. And there was no such course available in India. For the first time, we actually started learning about our own culture. And this really impressed upon me, impacted me so much that my life transformed. All the teachers, all the faculty members were deaf and signing. Our boss, Dr. Alim Chandani, who founded this program, who has his PhD and he's deaf. I thought a deaf person PhD, impossible. But yes, there's so many role models, and he told me that deaf person are equivalent to any other person without disability. And I had never seen role models who were like me. And then after finishing this course, I volunteered for one year, and I was really glad at this place. I was learning a lot of work. My language and my identity actually helped me become confident about myself. Next slide. All of you, when you look at me, yes, I'm an artist, but what do I draw about? I started creating stuff when I was 5. My father also is brilliant, his artwork is great, and I copied him, and my art started, I created indefinitely. And my art, when I was naturally skilled at it, deaf people, I was visual, and about 13 or 14, something happened, Automatically my art started diminishing. More and more comments that art is not useful, art won't get you anywhere, art won't get you any jobs, and my motivation, my interest levels just disappeared. But what happened is, I had rebirth. My art, I told you about Centum GRO initiated this program. I left one of my random drawings on the board, on the desk, and I had left, but Dr. Alim, he saw this and he asked all the team members, who is this? Who drew this? And everybody said, this is Hardeep's artwork. He really liked it, and he told me that, he messaged me actually, and he said that you're really skilled, your artwork is great. Why don't you pursue this? I had never received this kind of encouragement. I felt such kind of happiness. My art took a rebirth, and I got more opportunities to produce my art. Next slide. There are a lot of pictures in front of you. These are all my artworks. Do you see a variation in the moods here, looks here? The first picture, what Dr. Alim had actually seen, it's right in the middle, a person with hair all standing and a thick moustache. This is what Dr. Alim had seen, and you will see a lot of different moods and faces in these pictures, because people have unpredictable moods, instability in mood. They go out, they meet friends. The only expression I had was my art. Next slide. Here is a picture where you see what do you see, and what, I mean, I would really love if somebody could explain what they see. Any hands, any volunteers? What do you see in this picture? Oh, I'm so sorry, maybe yes, this picture. There are two images. One is wearing a hoodie, and the second person is standing behind the first person, and there's no hood. The first picture is dark. The second person behind the face is lit up. So I would like to ask, what do you think when you look at the picture? Yes. There's someone deaf. They're signing. I'll copy the sign. So he says, something hidden, your wishes, confident, not wanting to share, hiding your talent and passion. Somebody else? Would somebody, no hands? You, Abhishek?
Yeah, that you are living a dual life of sorts. Of you are hiding somewhere, and somewhere down the line you are also discovering your own self.
Mm-hmm. Yes, your perspective. Thank you so much, both of you. This is my true self. I have light and dark sides. And I told you, my language, my identity, and my art, these three things which I found, I was really happy 100%? No. Yes, these three things did go good for me. But I also have light and dark side, because 4 or 5 years which it took for me, any person I would meet, they would tell me there was a program, there was a conference, whatever they would ask, I would always be a yes man. Yes, yes to everything. Yes, yes, yes. Because I would never want all of them to be sad. I wanted to make everyone happy. But I forgot about my own happiness. I started being conscious about myself. I was confused what people would think about me. I was conscious about what they would think about me. And I would think if my life had any worth, any value. And this darkness inside me, this self-worth was missing. And one major quote, which I think I found on Instagram, really impacted me. Next slide. This quote here, it says, I as a person, universe somehow has brought me here, time has brought me here to a place where I reflect on myself. Is my life valuable? Do people look at me? Why should I get conscious? So more and more self-awareness and patience with myself. Same as you all, you could introspect, self-reflect, and be patient. And this is what is important. Positive, a very positive quote. Next slide. There are two sentences here. And this is one of my last slides. The first sentence says, believe in your passion. This basically means that true motivation and passion, as I told you, I found my language, I found my identity through all these experiences which helped me keep my passion. If I didn't have my language, if I didn't have my identity, probably I won't have my art and I won't be standing here in front of you. Language and my identity helped me continue and pursue my passion. And I had opportunities, thankfully, connected to my art, which I also would advocate. Dr. Alim, I was involved in his team. And I also have freelance work opportunities, which are helping me now. And passion, truly, you should believe in your passion. And I see all of you, you are all valuable. Your life, there's so much value. Whatever people say, don't worry about it. It's all useless. Believe in yourself, your lives are worth living. And all of us are very, very valuable. You're here on this earth for a reason. Everyone is valuable, just like me. And these two sentences which I told you, I would also like to inform you that my experiences growing up, the challenges, my language barrier, the parents, I would never blame them. Because old mentality, there were people of a time where I actually learned from them. I am involving myself in various different communities and spreading happiness and positivity. Next slide. That's the last slide, and it says thank you. I want to thank Red Door for bringing me here. I want to thank the interpreters who are voicing for me. I want to thank Dr. Alim for helping me with the PPT and the modifications. Thank you for your support. At the same time, my team who are here, members who are here, it really makes me so happy. Thank you, all of you, for listening. Thank you. Great.
How far do you think that we have reached a point where we now at least have some language to speak about these kinds of questions, and what more do you think we need to do about it?
So this kind of a shift and switch in between, this negativity and positivity, like Abhishek talked about how people, if there are no people around, I'm totally fine, but then when there are people around, it really influences the way I think. And it is positive and negative both ways, and that really makes me nervous in a kind of situation of crisis. So there is, I totally agree with Abhishek that we are always in this state of duality where we don't know it's liberating and isolating at the same time.
How do you find the balance, which I think which is extremely important to me in my understanding of mental health? We are all dependent people, and this has nothing to do with. I think this has nothing to do with disability. It's the human condition that we are dependent fundamentally on each other. And so how does this struggle, how has it worked out for yourselves? That's one part of the question I'm asking. How do you find yourself dealing with it? And in that context, do you feel that, so I'm asking three connected questions, that in that context you find yourself wondering whether, typical options like therapy, for example, which would they work, or would they be coming from such a normalized understanding that they will not actually?
Yes, India, many, you won't find people who are deaf and psychologists themselves, You have to understand that I would be able to express to people who have experienced my kind of stress, my kind of barriers, And I don't feel that confidence when I meet them. And nobody has ever told us that deafness is nothing wrong, and you have your own culture, you are a minority language group, you have your own identity. So I have not met such people. I would like to meet more of such people. And if we are in more get-togethers where there are more deaf people of my kind, but in India, I don't know if there is a deaf psychologist or a counselor at this point in time. There are a lot of non-deaf people who I meet. I would have to have a third-party interpreter there. But that fact is, I'm not interested. I want direct language concordancy. I want to be able to connect, because my culture is not his culture or that person's culture. And if there's a deaf person, hopefully, in our country, we could have a deaf counselor. And this is happening in the Western nations, why not in India? So we really hope that there's change. So the help of knowing your identity, how did it help? Could you please explain a little more in detail? So yes, you asked what identity, how I found my identity and how it helped me. So hearing people, you would have your own identity as a person. Now, a person who's deaf, who uses sign language, I don't hear, I don't speak. So there are people, who say, oh, you don't hear. So I would say, oh, I'm deaf. So as a person who's signing, you would automatically know is deaf. And a person who's hearing, who uses spoken language, you would know this person is hearing. Now with this comes the cultural part. Experiences growing up, deaf people have their own unique experiences. Hearing people, you grow up, your environment which you deal with daily is very different. So the identity part, yeah, it's a little different.
So with all these conversations we're having about bodies, ability, disability, language and communication, how do you find your sense of belongingness in all of that? Because this fight of accommodation or stigma and discrimination is not really going to end per se because people are different.
Discrimination, challenges, barriers would never end. Like Dr. Alan said, that when he moved to India, it's been 3 years for him, and he saw the differences. The fact is that we all deaf people for 20, 30, 40 years in our life have the same barriers, and we live with those barriers. And this is, the fact is that society is missing major levels of awareness. And all of us as persons with disability have to advocate, have to remind people that we have to keep doing that every single day. And Alan would like to add, would Dr. Alan like to add to that? Yes. How Reshma actually formed this question, that there are two things which are happening right now. One is the National Association of the Deaf, India, they have applied for Indian Sign Language to become the 23rd official language of the country. If that passes, automatically those kind of, the privileges which you get from a constitutional language in schools, in colleges, they would definitely encourage the linguistic rights of deaf children. At the same time, recently, about a month, November 14th actually, Children's Day, we started a hashtag called Sign Language in Schools. It was an online campaign. I don't know if you follow Twitter, but there were like many hashtags where we were encouraging people and hoping that government and bureaucracy would look into our needs. So we have started the movement. and how you support our campaign that sign language in schools, that we allow sign language in schools, so you repost and retweet our tweets, that would be great support. Yes, there's this another person. He's giving me the question. He left, and this question is for Hardeep. And this is your presentation. It was really great. One thing which you said, my language. Did you mean English, Hindi? What did you mean, my language, my identity? Yes. Yeah, my language basically means that hopefully you would inform your friend who asked me this question. And my language, when I say I found my language, is sign language. I found this to be my natural way of communicating, because all through my years, I had been copying spoken language, which was not my language. So this is sign language and this is my natural language. So that's what I meant when I said my language.